Hey there. Thank you for joining me for this divorce summit and all the other speakers that are here. And I'll be getting a lot out of this event this time of this month. And yeah, like what place are you in and which message is speaking to you most that you need right now? And it's like everything happens in the time that it's supposed to happen. And maybe you're here with me live or you're going to watch the replay of this. So either way, I'm here to share Rewilding After Divorce. I'm Joyce Ayers, part center divorce coach. And there are three things you need to know before you divorce. And these things are like what no one is really talking about. It's like you have all the lawyers and the realtors and everyone else. But this is something that we're really not paying attention to and that I wasn't paying attention to when I was divorcing. And you to do all the paperwork and everything. And it's the thing that to pay attention to, whether you're thinking about a divorce or you've been told you're getting divorced in that process, wherever you are. Maybe it's even long after divorce has happened, that it's your emotional well-being and your mental well-being that need to be focused on at any given time of this. So whether your divorce takes, 3 years or 3 months, it's like your well-being lingers long after those papers are signed or the announcement is made. So it's something to really pay attention to. So I came up with this rewilding concept because it's returning to your true nature. Because we're going to wear a mask, so I talk a lot about these three things in more detail. But it's like it's our true nature, the living unapologetically for who you are and what you're doing and what you choose to do. And it's like, it doesn't matter to anyone else. It's not your business what everyone else thinks. And trust your intuition, your instincts, your rewilding self, that the park has been talking to you for a long time, but you just you're quiet, like I have to be a certain way with this person. So your divorce is not the ending. It's the beginning of rewilding back to your true nature, your true self. And well, what is that? Yeah, you think I used to think I was, but I'm being me. No, I wasn't being me. I was being a version of myself that um that kept saying I'm fine. That thing, it's like, there are just days like, yeah, fine, I'm good, it's all good. And then there's the days it's like, I'm fine, like don't bother me. And like, you give off those vibes, like don't come near me, don't talk to me. And those were the days that, when I said I'm fine, like leave me alone. It's like when I discovered I didn't feel emotionally supported. We all have good days and bad days. And, there was just the one day that I decided that, yeah, I'm having a bad day. And, he came in and asked how I was and I let him know. And instead of that compassion that I needed and understanding, it's like, what? You had a bad day. I had a bad day. And, it's just that one time that I dare to step out of my comfort zone of hiding. That is like my spirit was squashed. So it's like, nope, I'm going back into my shell. I'm gonna put my mask back on and everything is fine. I don't need you because you're not there for me. And that was my story. I'll talk a lot about that more later. So there are three things that you need to know before you divorce. It's rebuilding, like rebuilding from the inside out, rediscovering who you are, who you haven't been, and redefining what that is. Because how you came into the relationship is maybe not who you really are as well, because we've been conditioned. I call it domesticated. um, and we get domesticated when we're really young. That process starts when we're really young, usually between, even for the ages of 7, all that hardwiring is done. So let's start with rebuilding. What does like rebuilding mean? It's like letting go emotionally from the relationship the way you've been. It's clearing out the emotional debris. Like I call it emotional hygiene. You may have heard this before. So like, why is it so hard to let go, to rebuild, right? Well, here's some science. I'll go right into the science. Humans are biologically wired. It's called the primal brain for survival, right? We pair up with other people, with tribes, for survival, to take care of each other, to keep ourselves out of danger. So when we lose this connection with someone, we cling to it, we grasp, we fixate on it. We as much as we try to push you away, we're also like grasping and clinging to that old relationship, the relationship that was. and it's our nervous system. Our nervous system is trying to keep us safe, right? So our brain is saying, wait, this isn't safe. Danger, danger. This connection's going away. So there's a lot of neurological wiring that's been programmed into us in our primal brain. And it's like when things are really good, we have like all the oxytocin, I feel good, I feel safe. And then when things are not good, there's a cortisol, right? This be the stress response. And it's like this fight or flight, or the, um, calming and ease that's going on. So there's like an emotional loop happening that's really holding us bondage. And there's a concept in the conscious uncoupling book, or method that I'm trained in as a certified coach. It's called the emotional trance of a breakup. And this is the state of your nervous system that it's constantly being flooded with, longing for the person and fearing abandonment, the attachment that's there, in whatever that means for you. And again, that programming from long ago. Um, it could be, you felt loved with you felt loved by this person, you felt safe, you felt seen, all of these attachments that are going on. So it keeps us tethered. Think of I don't know if a fish, a fish hook, it keeps dragging you along. It keeps us tethered to the other person, this emotional bonding. And when so there's like a craving for it, because again, it's the primal brain, this deeper part of ourselves that needs that for survival, on the emotional level, on the physical level. Hey, Angie. So yeah, so there's this emotional bond that's going on, and it's it's how we identify with it. It's not who we are. I'm going to talk more about identity later, but it's like we identify with these emotions, even though we don't really are really diving into what the emotions are, because they can be a real guide for us. But it's our emotions that are trying to get our attention. It's not our identity. And so there's emotional or embodiment practices that I have that I use with my clients that help nurture that emotional pain. And I'll show you one right now. It's called self-love. So um, we might not be loving on ourselves during this time that we're transitioning, or we're still in the thick of the emotions of it, or long after it. And all it is giving yourself a hug. So you can give yourself a great big squishy hug. And one of my clients calls it a great big squishy hug. Or, you might just, if you're in public, or with someone else, you might just bring your arms down and fold them in front of you. It's called a micro pose. And so you're not just giving yourself a hug, you're actually having a little conversation with yourself. It's like, you're okay. You've got this. You're loved. You love yourself. Like, and then think of all the people that love you, all the people that support you. All right. So just give yourself a hug. And whatever arm is on top, then switch the other arm on top. It can make a difference. And when you're doing this, just really settle into loving yourself, like feeling loved. And if you like, I don't have anyone that loves me, just think of someone, something, a pet, something that is true for you about love. So, um, so we can close this cycle, this emotional cycle, because there's like what's happening is that when we get into the relationship, we start making these unconscious agreements with ourselves and the other person about, well, if you do that, then I'll do this. If I behave this way towards you, oh, it earns me love, right? Again, that conditioning. So it's like let's break those old agreements and identify what they are. And that's what I do in my program with you when we coach. The unspoken vows, there's the vows you took when you got married, but then there's the vows that, okay, well, if you're busy, I'll just ignore my needs, right? So we're self-abandoning at that point. And so it's so important to look at that pattern, and the blame, whether we're blaming someone else or ourselves, but looking at all those things, and like, how do we undomesticate ourselves? How do we come back to our wild nature, our identity, instead of just trying to keep the peace? We have a peace internally. So that's rebuilding. So the second thing to know is rediscover. It's rewriting the story, because we all have a story about our relationship. I had to do this or he couldn't do that, right? So we're breaking this pattern through awareness. It's like we are reclaiming our power instead of giving a power away. Um, so there's again going back to the programming, the domestication, because we have some wounds that are there. So when you identify, rediscover what it is that you truly need instead of what you had to do to to earn something, to have the love, to have the safety, to have the acknowledgement, to feel that you matter. That's a big one for women. It's like, I don't matter, so I'll just settle, right? And so when we do start to feel like we matter, there's a book called The Big Leap, and they talk about the um, the upper limits. And so it's almost like a threshold of happiness, a threshold of safety, a threshold of abundance. So, I kind of think of, I think of horizon, right? Where this is our comfort zone and we live within that zone. So if we go too low, then we bump ourselves back up. But if we go above, like if we get too happy, it's like it's unfamiliar. Again, that wiring and programming is so ingrained that if we get too happy or we think, no, oh, okay, this won't last, right? A lot of women who stay in the relationship and things start to go well. It's like, well, I don't trust this. I don't trust him to really keep showing up for me. So that's the upper limit. It's like I can't get to that level above trusting too much because it might fall out. And if it falls out, then it'll go down too low. So we're always working within this upper limit. And again, a lot of our identities, how we identify with that in that zone of it goes beyond whether I feel I deserve it or not. There's a part of us, that wiring, that domesticating, that it's like you can only have this much, otherwise you have to earn it, or just whatever the pattern is, whatever the programming is. It's so ingrained and wired into our nervous system. So we're looking for a new story, like a new narrative, a new emotional narrative. So we're looking at breaking this pattern. So I have some questions for you that you can ponder. We call it reframing. I'm a trained master NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming practitioner, and so we do a lot of reframing. And what this does is it starts to repattern the wire, the domestication. So you can ask yourself, because we're in a story, first of all, we always have a story. It was their fault, or we're the martyr, we're the victim. So in the relationship, maybe at the beginning, at the end, wherever you want to do, it's like, what really happened? When did you got into the relationship believing certain things about yourself and the other person, and then they started to shift, right? They started to, that upper limit. Oh, I'm too happy. This is too, too whatever. And it's like, we almost like create situations. No, I don't need you. It's fine. No, I don't need your help with the kids. I don't need you. When you're sick, right? Um, yeah, but it'd be so wonderful if somebody helped out and just, just come give me some soup or, give me some water. It's like, "Oh, I'm fine, I'll get it myself." But really, you're running a fever. It's just one example of what really happened. Like, how did you train the other person to accommodate unconsciously what you believed about yourself, what you believed about them and their role in your life? So what really happened along the way? Start really looking at, how are we showing up? And what it what did this mean about you? That about how who you had to be, the mask you had to wear, and what's actually really true. So that's where I come in. It's like we look at these things, we start diving deep because it's not a safe place to go, and it's like it's messy in there. When we start looking at ourselves and just like, ooh, like how did I show up? I need to I'm taking responsibility for myself, right? So these are some three questions for you. What really happened? What did it mean about you? And what's really true? So that's just kind of dipping your toe into a big hole. It could be that we're in the beginning. You decide how deep you want to take this, and keep yourself safe emotionally. Check in with your nervous system, or get good with me. I'll leave in the comments how you can reach out to me so I can support you in that. So when we're like abandoning ourselves, it's like, it's like we're out of integrity. And really, we just want that freedom. We want that ease and peace. We call it sovereignty over ourselves. That I can be this, and it's okay, right? Instead of we can turn rejection of ourselves, who we are, who we think the other person is rejecting us, how the other person is rejecting us, to self acceptance. Hey, I'm having a good day. I'm having a bad day. Whatever. It's like I'm doing the best I can, right? Just take a pause. It's like I'm doing the best I can. And then that heartbreak, yes, it's happening. The broken heart, the disappointments, start to reawaken to the part of yourself that you broke your own heart, maybe, or somebody the story that that they broke your heart. But it's like, oh, how are we not showing up for ourselves? So really rediscover your wild, authentic self, your true nature. Here's some more questions to self-inquiry this time. It's like, well, what do you desire? What's important to you about life, about who you're showing up as or how you're not showing up? If you were to show up as your true self, what's important about that? What do you desire? How do you want to feel? What lights you up? What gets you out of bed? That when you're authentic, right? You have your sovereignty. And who were you before you disappeared into those roles? Whether it goes all the way back to when you were small, that's a place that I can guide you towards. But maybe you're like right here, right now in this relationship, or if the relationship is fresh. So it's like, how did you disappear yourself? How did you make yourself less than who you are? So those are some three questions to help you start to reconnect with with the deeper part of yourself, the part that's been asleep, that's maybe started to wake up or has woken up. Your aliveness, we call it the sensuality, like this essence of who you are. So it's time to wake up, right? So stepping into your true power, your identity, started to gain some clarity, really embody this essence of who you are, this purpose you have in life. We all have a purpose, and it's not to make someone else happy. It's to make yourself happy. We're just really looking at creating a new identity for yourself by nurturing yourself, knowing what you value, your boundaries, things that are the non-negotiables, right, of life. Aligning with the part of your soul that's like, hey, here I am. Can I cut out? Right. Um, so there's being in alignment. There's another book. It's still in the Big Leap of the four agreements, or actually, there is a book called The Four Agreements, and I'm not going to get into that today, but that's I mentioned one of them. It's like doing your best, right? But in the Big Leap, there's the four zones. I'll talk about one of them here today, and you can get with me to talk about the other ones. It says zone of genius, and what this is who we're being, what we believe we can be, and actually doing it are all in alignment. Because you can say an affirmation, but you don't really believe it, so it's not going to happen. So when you say an affirmation and it's really true for you, because your nervous system is programmed and wired to like, yes, that is who I am. That is possible. I will have that. You have those three pillars. That's where that's when you're in full alignment and in your zone of genius. Instead of shrinking, you start to expand. It's like there's an emotional thermostat that is always there guiding us, right? It's a little too hot, a little too cold. So just looking at, again, self-love, right? That story, can't let, hey, welcome. Um, yeah, self-love that starts to awaken a sense of security, security in yourself, who you are, what you're doing, who you're being, a wholeness. Yes, like there's nothing that I need. I am whole just as I am, except who you are, your sovereignty. What I decide for myself is what I need. And doing that from a place of knowing what it is. So just taking a breath here. Like, how are you redefining? That's the third one. Redefining who you're becoming, the woman that you're meant to be, stepping into your power, coming back to your true nature, how do you identify with yourself as someone that's always giving? Oh, it's fine. I don't need that. It's like the giver. Um, but it's so, and then someone comes along and wants to do something for you. And there's that icky feeling. It's like, no, I don't want to need that person. I'm not worthy of receiving. No, it's okay. I've got it. That identity that we function within. Again, the programming. It's like, what is it? What's the part of you that's ready to emerge? It's almost like this divorce has been the catalyst for the seed to grow. The seed was planted long ago of, who you are, your own DNA, your genetic makeup. And but the seed hasn't been watered and nurtured, fertilized, the sun, all the things. And the divorce has come along. And all of a sudden the seed is like, oh, maybe it's time that I can actually sprout. I can actually emerge out of my little cocoon. Think of a butterfly as well. Like the caterpillar goes along, munch, 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 and just kind of surviving. Like don't get eaten by the bird or something, and survive that. And it goes into the cocoon and breaks down completely. It's not like, here, I'm just going to put on some wings, because it's still a caterpillar. It's like, no, we actually transform into that butterfly, into, we start rewiring, really breaking down, redefining our whole makeup of what's then on top. I'm using a lot of analogies here. It's like putting on a coat that's not yours. It's too big or it's too tight. And so finally you can take it off and it's like, oh, I can actually like sit up taller and I can like wave my arms around. So there's this like freedom that it's like, oh, I don't have any boundaries that have been imposed on me. I can actually have my own boundaries. I can decide how big I want to be and how bold I want to be, and have that courage. And again, you're awakening something. Something is waking up in you. You can choose to hide. You can choose to be small and be stuck in the past, all the things that you don't have and all the things that somebody did to you. Or you can choose to, again, look at, redefining the story, redefine who you had to be. And this didn't just start with your relationship, in your marriage, whatever connection you had with this person. This is what you brought into the relationship. And it's not who you had to be at the time, because it's like all the endorphins are going. All the, it's like, wow, this is amazing. They actually hear me. They all the things, right? Until the other person stops showing up for you the way you need them to, or the way you expect. Again, it's that threshold. It's like, oh, this is just too good. The nervous system is like, no, I've never had this before. I've never had someone that loves me this much. So we, change things. So let's redefine the love that you have for yourself. The um it's like the who are you embodying? Um what do you align with now? Because there isn't these parameters within the relationship and the programming that say you have to be this way. It's like, oh, there's this newfound freedom, right? You've been let out of the cage, like, you're a canary in a cage and somebody's opened the door and say, hey, fly free. And you're like, well, where do I go? What do I do? Like, how do I survive? It's like, okay, we have within us to put that journey ahead. And for me, it's like, oh my gosh, I have my wings and this is great. I have this freedom. I don't have to take care of this other person their emotional well-being. I can actually look after my own emotional well-being now. But how do I do that? Like, how do I navigate this? Because I'm still going through all the emotions, right? The emotional roller coaster. And so I got support, because I knew to go to the lawyer. I knew to do all the things and change my name, change the bank account. I knew how to do all that stuff, look after the house, the assets. Um, I didn't know all the things, but there's the things that we kind of know, but I didn't know about the deeper the deeper things about our well-being that linger long, long after the papers are signed. So having that support helped me with clarity, helped me to, yeah, like I did show up that way in the relationship. I did deny support. I was independent, right? Like if you're like me, it's like, yeah, I know I don't really need you. I want you there in my life, but I don't really need you. But when I do need you, I need you. But I can't rely on you because I didn't have somebody there growing up that I really could rely on and depend on. So it's a pattern. I wasn't aware of it. And I trained him, my former husband, that I didn't need him. I'm okay until I did need him. And then it started falling apart. So let me be that support for you. Let me help you, guide you through this process. I'll include in the link in the comments a way to get in touch with me to book a call. It's called Rewilding Yourself, Rewilding Your Life. And we get on a call and just say, where are you at? Those questions I asked you. What's really true? Where are you at? Where are you going? What do you want? And these can be questions that are just like, I'm just trying to get through the divorce, right? I am still just rewired. Remember those three things I told you? It's like redefining, rebuilding. It could be in the rebuilding stage still. So let me support you as you rebuild from the inside out, who you're being, who you're showing up as, and take off that mask. Let your seed that's been germinating sprout through the surface and really blossom. What awaits you is around the corner if you choose. You got to let go of the past. Thank you for being here. I'll check the comments for how to reach me. Take care.